All I know is that if it hadn't been for you, I wouldn't have sold my firm. And you interfered and smashed up my relationship with my son. Now you sit there gloating and telling me...
Rambling, Caswell.
Well, you're wasting your time. The Italians will get the job.
Now why stay on? Just for the pleasure of seeing me fail?
You won't win this.
No, not me, Caswell. Britain.
Britain? You don't care about Britain. All you care about is your own glory. Oh, God. Then not long since you were getting contracts of the French. Oh, John.
This is Sir John Wilder. I want a doctor immediately, the very best.
I suppose he is as sick as Wilder says, hmm? It's one way of culling the old stag from the herd.
Don't think I'm going to thank you for getting me out of here. I know it suits your book.
He's had a heart attack, Ken.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised it didn't happen years ago. Should have retired and left me to run the firm instead of selling out.
He's your father, Ken. You owe him at least that.
I owe him nothing. Not money, nor filial affection, nor even a word of sympathy. I wouldn't send him a get-well telegram.
Kenneth!
So all my life he's gone out of his way to make me feel a failure he fathered in error. You know, he was a pygmy in the house, a prize example of nepotism in the firm. Some kind of burnt-out case he had to prop up. When he sold out Black Construction, it was much to spite me as to frustrate Wilder.
John would have got control.
Do you know what the great Lord Bligh's last words were to me, Don? He said, I wish your mother had miscarried instead of dropping you. And he said, never come whining to me when you're on your beam ends, 'cause there's not a penny in the kitty for you, either now or under my will.
That was 2 years ago, Ken. Look, you can't go on feuding like this, hating for the rest of your life.
Oh, for the rest of his, I can. No, anyway, whatever else I could forgive, I can't ever forget that he poisoned my marriage. Justine took his side and there were rows. And you know what happened?
2 years, Ken.
It'd be no different if it were 100. Tell him you delivered the message, Don.
There was no message, Ken. In fact, he said he wouldn't see you if you were the last person left on Earth.
Fine, good, fine. It's mutual.
The test's confirmed.
Yes? Look, I don't care if he's in conference in Buckingham Palace, will you? Oh, never mind. Oh, I'm getting out of here.
I shouldn't.
Oh, well, I've got a rebellious ambassador in my office who needs a dig in his ego.
If you get there to do it, with luck and care, you could live a year.
And without?
Tomorrow. Today, if you insist on charging off. Never give up, do you?
Never do you, John. As long as I live, never do you.
Well, with a surgeon like Harrison involved, it must be serious.
He says the only hope is a heart transplant.
He should know. When is it?
It's not. I'm not going to be made a guinea pig in this human abattoir. If my heart isn't good enough, I don't want anybody else's.
You mean you'd rather die than have a new heart?
Yes, I would. I'm against all this spare part surgery, this tampering with human beings. And where will it end?
You sound more and more every day like a 20th century roundhead. I've always doubted this progressive streak that you claim for yourself.
Well, they'll put nobody else's heart in me.
Don't be a bloody fool, Caswell. Or is it that you're scared?
Scared?
It's not the principle that worries you, not the philosophy. You haven't got the guts.
He took the bait, you think?
What bait?
When you've got him no contract a week from now, he'll use his reunion with Caswell to mention your future interests with Strakers and Ormes. Caswell will report it to the Foreign Secretary, by which time neither Strakers nor Ormes are on your list. And Caswell will be seen to be so hopelessly out of touch that we'll need a new minister.
In 10 years' time, you'll be the most devious in the game.
So, Sir John Wilder for minister, eh?
Oh, no, Don. Not me. You won't catch me towing party lines.
It occurs to me I might reinforce the point to Kenneth.
Well, it will do no harm at all. Do it with your usual tongue-in-cheek integrity, Lincoln.
Even if Wilder lets you down, it's important you don't mention his future interests with Ormes and Strakers to your father.
So now you're protecting Wilder? Oh, I wish I knew where you stand.
I'm protecting us. I gave you the list of firms in for the job.
Yes, you still bother me.
For my trying and highly responsible job, for which I had to get a degree in several languages, I get the princely sum of $2,500 a year. They do better in Coventry spraying cars.
Well, I can't pay you anything anyway. Didn't strike me as corrupt.
Corrupt nothing. Normally and increasingly ambitious. You can't work with Wilder and not begin to wonder what life's about. What you're doing on a slum dweller's salary and a career subject to the whims of old bureaucrats with piles.
I'll try to stay with you.
If I stay on in the diplomatic service, I might, with luck and fair reporting on my work, be an ambassador who matters at 55. But I'm a born climber. And some of my superiors distrust such a tendency. They prefer you to creep up the backsides of mountains like Philby. I'm different. The ruthless product of a northern grammar school, they murmur in those pretty accents. Besides, now they're appointing ambassadors from outside, journalists and politicians, and big businessmen like Wilder. What's in it for me?
Well, what is in it for you?
I've been approached by 2 merchant banks to advise them on what we're up to in the Department for Special Situations and Trade.
Which you'll not do, of course.
I'd be breaking the Official Secrets Act. But if I'm worth it to them, I must have some value in business.
You're not saying you'd tip me the wink.
Kenneth. There's another firm on the Somalia list, Frinton's.
Yeah, they're not all that big.
They're looking for growth. I'm pushing them discreetly for the hospital's job, and I think they'll get it, with Ormes and Strakers out of the way.
But are they?
You scared Wilder with your red light. I've suggested to Frinton's 2 takeovers. ABD construction.
And? Well, not me.
The terms would be generous, and you'd have a seat on their board.
But they know what my firm's worth. Why should they be interested?
I've made it clear you're in a strong position with our department for future jobs.
Which I'm not.
With me, there you are.
And what's your price?
Don't be crude, Kenneth. Your firm won't be taken over for 2 years, but the options will be taken out now. And there's nothing in the rules to say I shouldn't own shares in your firm, which I'm not pushing for any contract. Directly, that is. The big catches will go to Frinton's.
It's all right. How many did you want?
Half.
You have been learning from Wilder.
I'd have been bloody silly not to.
25%.
Tell him to stop at the next taxi rank and we'll forget all about it.
Aren't you taking a risk?
It's about time I did. When I take up my option on your shares, I'll be out of Her Majesty's diplomatic service. I'll be at liberty to do just what the hell I like.
Or whom?
It's up to you, Kenneth.
This is my father, Mrs. Taylor.
Please sit down.
Thank you.
I was very sorry to hear about your husband. Mrs. Taylor, if there's anything that I can do to help you financially. I don't know what my son talked to you about, but or whether he mentioned any figure. But if 10 or 20,000 pounds... But Mrs. Taylor, Ken...
What do you want a heart for? You've got along without one so far. Mrs. Taylor. I'm sorry.
What does he think people like us are? Oh, he may be a lord. Does he think he can buy anything?
Anything, anyone. Everything's a branch of commerce to him. Oh, sooner out of this place. He doesn't deserve...
Don't say that. He's your father. Is he very rich?
Horribly.
Tell him to put £20,000 in a trust fund for our children. Oh, I wouldn't touch a penny of it if I were starving. The children might need him. I hope not. They might, one day.